everybody, how's it going? As you can see, you can finally see a Missy. It's her camera debut for our cool Catz chats.
Sort.
Yeah, sort of. I'll be getting that same camera, so she's my little test bunny as far as figuring that thing out. And I like it, it's really clear. Me, I'm over here with my 1687 camera. And he's back in the Civil War, so but yeah, so this is our episode 1, so prepare for very hopefully not too rough of a show, but we're going to talk about the first topic we thought would be a kind of a good one would be is the guild culture dead? And we say guild in the sense of clans and free companies and just communities and as a whole. So just the culture of coming together as gamers within games and really, connecting with each other. And, we don't just randomly join a group and leave and call it a day and there's no connections, right? So we were going to kind of talk about that today. We're going to try to keep this to 30 minutes so we can hold your attention spans better. And if we have to make this multiple parts, then we'll do that too. Maybe even try to bring in some guests. So it'll be, this is one of our new things for the channel is Cool Catz Chats. Missy came up with the name. So I guess we can get started, and like I said, this is going to be a relaxed, just talking about the subject, and we'll go as far as we want to go, and then maybe we play some games, but maybe not. Maybe this will just be tonight. So we'll kind of we'll see what happens.
We'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
We'll see how.
It is 2 a.m. in the morning here, so probably just
for you
the talk show, right? Missy can game after this. Missy
Not
can
for
game.
Me.
Yeah.
I want somebody to join me though.
Well, that's when you got to get Poto.
I know. Poto has to get Fall Guys.
Right.
Because everybody's playing Fall Guys right now.
Definitely. Yeah, I wish my wife could play Fall Guys on the PlayStation because I got it for free and still play with us on that, but yeah, they don't do that. So, but anyways, I guess to our topic, like I said, is the guild culture dead? I'm going to hand it over to Missy, being that she is the woman. So she can go first.
Okay. Basically, I'm just going to put it out there and say, yes, I believe that guild culture is, for the most part, pretty much dead. Yeah. Now, why? Why would we be saying this? I think that there's a lot of different reasons. First and foremost, I think that as a society, we've become very busy, very self-centered, that we want to do things quickly, we want to do them now, and we don't want to wait for other people to show up, such as like a guild situation. We want to run things, and we want somebody to be there when we want to run things, because look, I worked a 10-hour day, or I just go in and I'm only putting in an hour today. So I want to get all of my stuff done for me and then I'm out. So people expect the guild to just be there for them. And that's just not the reality of what's going on anymore. Experienced it myself. Brad and I have been trying to run something. We have a huge guild. There's lots of people on. We'll say, hey, can somebody help out with this lower level dungeon so we can just run through it? And everybody goes from chatting to silence. Nobody replies. Nobody says anything. Because I think, in my mind, part of the reason is everybody just wants to do kind of what they want to do now. There's not that whole camaraderie of everybody coming together, you know, as a whole. I think people, are just in there for chit chat, whatever. They should just be doing this and going on to something like just chat instead of playing a game. I guess maybe they just want to run around looking like a kitty or a bunny. Don't judge. I'm a bunny. And they just want to chit chat in a different environment and not really actually help anybody else in the game. I mean, that's one of my opinions. So what do you think, Brad?
Well, I mean, I technically actually had, real life society changes, fast food culture.
Yeah.
And then the guild loyalty, the loyalty to friendships, all that stuff, I put in here, that there's technically, I said these, like everything kind of blends together, right? So the loyalty part, is, it used to be, and some people are still this way, one for all for one, or is it just all for me? Once I got mine, I'm good. But it comes down to the games themselves. Are they being designed to enhance communities or drive us apart? Like LFR looking for raid, the dungeon finder. And I'll play devil's advocate here, and I'll say that, growing up, I don't, now we have a lot of time to play these games and, finding groups and all that stuff. And, with Final Fantasy, for example, I'd rather run with friends because then I could actually tank or heal with them. I mean, I don't mind tanking or healing with pugs. But for me, like, it just, I don't know, when I'm healing my friends or tanking for my friends, it's just, I can help carry them. Normally, a lot of people like to do DPS, right? They don't like to tank or heal, aka Missy. But it's just good to help people out, right? Like, it feels good. And I won't lie and say that I always feel that way either, though. There's times where, yes, I just want to get it done and move on. And taking that topic,
You've just deleted my number 2 and number 3 on my list.
Yeah, like I said, I have a list right here, and it's literally all just fusing together because they just feed off each other, right?
Because I'm like, well, there goes the few perks. Oh, perks. There's really no perks anymore either to being in a guild.
Yeah, that was my loyalty. I was like, no real perks built into the game.
Loyalty was number 3.
Yep.
No, literally number 3. No loyalty. I think. Oh, there we go. Can we see? Oh, it's all backwards.
Yep.
There, you can see loyalty. So no, there's no loyalty. Yeah, I think it's like a whole fusion of a whole bunch of different factors. I don't see where it could only be maybe one thing. I think it's multiple things. And I know that I discussed this with you about a week ago, and I said, which came first? It's like the chicken or the egg. So was it the players themselves that caused this to happen? Or was it, say the gaming developers themselves that were trying to just make it easier for people? Or was it based on feedback? Or have they just tried to make things simpler and simpler, and this has caused guilds to go bye-bye? I don't know. I'm not sure, what caused it to happen. Which end we can say, well, it's because this started to happen that, guilds are dead now, or unnecessary, I guess you could say. Because some aren't dead. There are still guilds around, and I know that there are certain guilds that, one of the ones I was in WoW, for instance, they raided 5 days a week. They had a really good, solid crew, and that's what they did year after year. And they're still doing it now. They're still continuing to do that. And it's the same group of people. but they've been very lucky to have those people for so long in order to still have a guild that is tight, that raids, that rely on each other. Because when they weren't playing, they were just gathering everything for raiding materials. That's all they really did. So they were like a raiding culture. So that guild is still around and probably always will be until the end of the game, because that's what they love and that's what they do. Now, there's different sorts of guilds that are out there that are just random guilds that do a little bit of everything, and they're the ones to me that seem to be flailing, hanging on to dear life, so to speak. And it's really unfortunate because, I mean, I wasn't playing WoW back then, but back in the day where you did need a guild or an FC or whatever you want to call it, I was a guild leader then, and it was very much like a family. People came in, or you joined with other people, you met people along the way, you merged your guilds, you did all sorts of other things. And, there was this family aspect to it that you became really good friends. And, you game together daily. So you talk to everybody daily. It's like your coworkers almost at your job, but it's your fun time coworkers. Because you don't have any of the added stress of whatever company you're working for behind it. You're together to play something fun. So, that was a great thing. And now, that's just lost. And I know the last few guilds that Brad has said, so where do you want to go? What do you want to join? I'm like, I don't care. As long as they've got like those 2 perks up, I'm cool. And it's because it's come to the point where I'm not excited to be in a guild anymore. It's kind of like, as long as they put the perks up every 24 hours, or as long as they, have the certain guild perks that we need, then I'm good. Really not looking for the people aspect anymore because they're just not really around or involved.
Yeah. Well, I think I think a lot of that is, get my thoughts here together, is as I put in there, the perks, right? No real perks built into the game. So I mean, yeah, Final Fantasy gives you the 2 perks, which I think is like maybe just 15% experience, and then I think 15%.
Transportation
or whatever. Yeah.
Extra 10 minutes on your food.
But for instance, though, is the thing is I think if you build, so originally back in watching one of the Rich and Asmongold's Allcraft, they had the original vanilla WoW vanilla developer there, and he was talking how, like, guilds back then were made just for the social aspect. Nothing really else. It was social first, content second. I think now it's flipped. It's content and social second. And the thing is, if you don't have the content, if you ain't raiding, you ain't a guild. Because, and we could all go like, yes, I'll be in this FC or this guild or this clan to meet new people. But if they ain't running anything, because I mean, I've felt that way. I know you felt that way too, Missy. Is when they're not doing anything, then it's like, in comes the loyalty. You have no real loyalty to that guild because they're not doing anything with you. The social aspect of it too. I mean, how many times I'm like, hey, what about voice chat, and like nobody
does voice.
Nobody would want to do voice, and I'm like, well, I hate sitting there typing and not playing the game, so I'm just not going to type. I'm not going to talk. Like right now on Lightbringer, I mean, I think I took, because I was just standing in Stormwind because I was done with my character, then I started to type. But when I'm playing, I just want to be able just to talk, and a lot of people don't do that, and I get the shyness and all that stuff, but,
But you also know too that when they're typing, when they're constantly typing, they're not doing anything.
No, and that's the thing is, I think leading off the loyalty part here, or the perks thing, is the games now promote, I think, single player grouping more so than mass player. So like, it's like they're promoting single player through group content via you press a button, you join a dungeon, no one says anything, you might say hi, and there's no communication. You beat the bosses, you move along. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's no, so dungeons now, which used to be you have to go find a group, you had to work to beat that boss. If you got your ass kicked, you had to reevaluate your stuff, and then you had to go back in there and go after it. Now, if you get your ass kicked too many times, if not once, some people can only handle it once, then they bounce. And then everyone else bounces because they're like, well, screw you, because guess what? Nobody knows each other. No one has any loyalty to each other. So.
Or they vote to kick you, and everybody goes, yeah, we don't care, kick.
Yeah. So there's no. Yeah, there's no strings that tie us together as groups anymore. And the thing is like Missy joined Stormseekers, back on Lightbringer when I was recruiting and getting people together and all that stuff, and and through just talking with her and everything like that she was we got her to be treasurer because I felt I was like, hey, you can actually like I could trust you, which is a big thing, right? Right.
You can actually count.
Yeah, and and it led from there. I mean, now we've known each other for 3-4 years, and it's like, and it's that line, right, where it's, and I put this on here, social distancing in games. Get this, right? It says people wanting to stay distant, don't want to get too close and cross that line where you actually become good friends and know each other's lives. So, like, Missy, people probably think Missy talks to herself every day because she's just talking and no one else is in the place, right? So they're like, who's she talking to?
They're like, she lives on her own here and she never shuts up.
Exactly. She's talking to herself, right? Yeah, and and this is one thing, we had a friend named Giggles, and he had a term with real life friends and fake life friends. And I think that's actually, so real life friends is people you hang out with, of course, or just people that you might know or whatever, versus gamer friends, aka people you just play with, right? You log in, you say hi, the only friendship you have is playing, if that's even a friendship, is playing the game together, right? Because, I mean, do you truly ever get to know that other person? And I'm not saying you have to get to know every single person, right? But if you have, going back to like old school guilds, I remember hearing one, and I can't remember their name. I don't think they're around anymore on Lightbringer. Back in Wrath or Cataclysm, I think they were Strips for Silver is actually what their name was called. And every year,
I do that.
Right? Every year they would go to Las Vegas. They would put all their money in there to buy a suite. And you've heard me say this, Missy, how cool that would that be? Like, that was like kind of like the major dream of like the guild that we were running, was like we would actually like go to Vegas, or somewhere, but Vegas is kind of a little playground, right, for adults. And we would just have fun and actually interact with each other, right? But
like face to face with people, Yeah.
And and this is it's like one of those things where we were, when you're just hearing someone else's voice, for instance, like I only saw some like the older pictures of you literally feed a chipmunk. I think it was a chipmunk.
Out of my mouth.
Out of your mouth.
True story. Might show them one day.
Right. Versus like finally seeing you on camera now. Like it's that step closer of actually meeting you in person. Even though that's not allowed really right now.
not allowed to cross the border, and neither are you. So
Yeah. I'm many borders away, but yeah. Yeah, I think, because we're always asking ourselves about, the movie Her, and how, you know, you know, the voice was the AI girl, and the guy in there. And if anyone has not seen Her, I highly
amazing,
recommend it.
amazing movie. Joaquin Phoenix is just awesome.
Yeah, the way they interacted, it would be like some if I never saw Missy and I just heard her voice, like, and that was the only thing I ever did, is she real to me? Is she a real person to me, or is it just a voice? Like, um, but that Her movie, was an artificial intelligence system, very, very good. And of
Hey, who
course,
says I couldn't be like amazing AI right now?
hey, those VR, the little VR thing, the VR tubers or tube VRs or whatever. I don't know, I can't remember. But that line
YouTuber?
is, yeah, the VTuber, yeah. It was like that line of like, um, like, that this person, like this, this probably have to be another talk show, to be honest. Is
Many ideas, many,
right
many, many.
is if you have an AI, it's an AI, but it's so real, you kind of just forget about the AI part, and it's like talking to another person. And in the movie, as watch it, is he actually like falls in love, you know, and it's just a voice. They never see each other, like.
And because he thinks he's special to her,
Mm-hmm.
she is one on one with him.
Well, she would never let you, know any different,
She's
right?
always there. And she was
Yeah.
always there.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. So, um, yeah. So, anyways, like I said, we'll definitely have to talk about like AI and all that fun stuff. But going back to our guild culture here is, so this is another one that I found out today, kind of watching the Allcraft, was, are people just numbers now? The Raider IO scores, item levels, achievements. The vanilla developer talked about today was, you know, you don't need to worry about making friends when you can just choose and dispose of randoms. So if I didn't know Missy and I looked at her and I wanted to get this dungeon done or this raid done, and I saw that she didn't even have a Raider I score, number, or her item level was low, I could dispose of her and say, no, goodbye. I don't know you. I don't care to know you because I'm just playing my game. I'm getting mine, right? And I think that goes to like the fast food culture, what you first brought up. Um, because these games, which like I said, the next topic we're probably going to talk about is like, are MMOs just RPGs played among other people, right? That was going to be another episode probably.
Yeah.
But I brought it up now because it is a part of the guild culture being dead. Is when you design an MMO, it's an MMORPG, and if you make it feel like a single player in all of its aspects, you do see live players around there running around, right? Um, but to be honest, I don't think I've stopped and looked at another character in World of Warcraft going like, whoa, look at your gear, look at your weapon, look, like nothing
Well,
means
ever since
anything
the
anymore.
Pandaria too. Like, I mean, you have, you have blue items that Pawn is telling you is way better than that purple item or that legendary. Oh, that blue item's actually better. How does that even work? It's say it's a 410 piece and you've got a 435 purple piece and your blue 410 piece is better than your 435 purple.
It's because that stat weighs more, but it's still stupid.
But that's wrong.
Well, that's the thing though, too, right? And that I get, another topic. We're just gonna keep printing them out for another episodes. Is gear
Right.
value. Yep, like gear value, right? So you get a piece. I mean, right now we are just saturated with purples, right? It's like you get a purple, you get a purple, and you get a purple, and it's like, and then if you roll again, you get another purple or gold. Um, you know, and it was like there's no value to these things, and this brings me to my next thing here is, and this was actually a pretty big one that actually kind of hit home. Um, and I don't know if he meant it, but he really. So he asked Rich and Asmund about. He's like, what? Let me see. I think I wrote this down. Um, oh yeah, what matters to you? How fast you complete the raid, or just completing the raid? And Asmund said, how fast, and not just the way of finishing it, right? And uh, and this actually goes into one of the things I just watched, The World's Toughest Race on Amazon. It's another show, like I said, promote Amazon. You can be our sponsor. But it was hosted by Bear Grylls, and it was in Fiji, I think. And this was I mean, it was such a crazy race. I mean, racers from all over the country, all over the world. And like you had this team that was going for the fastest possible at stuff, but in the end, yeah, they might have won like $250,000 on all that stuff, but to me, like, just finishing that race would mean a lot more than getting first place.
Okay, but let me interject here. So I think that the first go round or the first few go rounds, you just want to finish that raid. But if you've done that same raid because you've been stuck on that, and that's the only raid at that high enough level that you have left, and you can do it almost in your sleep, does it then progress to, okay, finishing it is not a problem? That is totally going to happen. So now it becomes a game of speed, so to speak. So you take it from just getting it finished to, yeah, now we know we're going to finish it. So what other goals would you have other than completing it in a faster time each time?
Yeah, I mean, I guess he was asking in the sense of just like general, here's a raid.
First time through.
Yes,
Here's
first time through. Yeah.
First time. Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah. So I mean, to you, I'll ask you the question. What matters more to you, being fast or just finishing it? Just finishing.
Just finishing.
Yeah.
We're lucky if I can get to the finish line without dying 50 million times. So clearly, just finishing a raid gives me a huge sense of accomplishment. Time, speed, forget about it.
Well, to be quite honest, though, is you had a really old computer. You're running on a potato back then, and internet wasn't good. So I think you'd do a lot better.
Rural internet.
Yeah. So kind of going into that is, so when Asmund said fast, right? And he's like, yes, sometimes you're trying to beat it before the next raid tier comes out, which is about 3 months, right? I would hope you weren't grinding your face for 3 months on the same raid. I couldn't do that. I don't care anymore. I don't care anymore after but anyways, he's so and this is the issue. This is when I was like, holy crap, he's actually kind of speaking the truth. And this is the original WoW developer, and everyone WoW itself is dated. I've tried vanilla. I can't get into it. It just the nostalgia glasses.
Grind.
Yeah,
grind and more grind.
Yeah, the nostalgia glasses are, well, I never played vanilla, so I was like, okay, I'll try this, right? And I was going to do it if they went into like a vanilla plus thing where you took your character and then you went into BC with them and so on and so forth. So you were kind of reliving that, right? But anyways, he alluded to, maybe people are just tired of the game but still play, so they want to just get through it as quickly as possible so they can move on to something else. So meaning, are these games even truly enjoyable anymore because they've been out for so long? WoW has been out for, I think, going on like 16, 17 years. You know, we've seen it, we've done it. This treadmill has holes in the freaking like thing. It's the same thing repainted. Shadowlands, at least they've given us a new character's customization screen, and they made it more vibrant, more dynamic, all that stuff. But until this point, you know, and even then, a dungeon is a dungeon, a raid is a raid, a mythic plus is a mythic plus, right? Um, and I think it'll do well. I'm really excited for it. The lore, they're kind of pressing the reset button. The lore, expanding the universe extremely, going all this other things. But just like we were talking about with Swaith the other night too, was like, like we want a new MMO, but we still want to play World of Warcraft. We put so much time and sweat into this game, and it's like.
But do we even savor that anymore, though?
No.
Anytime anything comes out, people are like, "All right, I got 24 hours. I'm staying up. I'm doing this. I'm going through the whole expansion, and then done. Boom, boom, finished in a weekend. Bam. Then they're moving on to something else."
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, it's the same thing with Final Fantasy. To be honest, I do it. I finish the new content that I want to really play in 24-hour period, and because normal content to me, sadly, is not challenging at all, and but I haven't put myself in the situation of doing Savage or doing Extreme or doing Mythic, because I get to a point where my care goes so far. Like, I used to sit in there and grind with people and stuff, and I think if I was in a group of people that I knew and I liked playing with them and all this other stuff, I think it would be good, right?
And that's why the old culture's dead.
Yeah.
There.
Yeah, well, you know me, like, right, you could be.
I don't care. You just said it.
Yeah,
right?
I don't. There's no. Yeah, there's no. I mean, this is it's a mile-wide pool, but 5 inches deep. And yeah, but like going with it, yeah, like you said, like if there's nobody that I'm raiding with, or I mean, even when I was raiding, I mean, as long as there was like another person or two that I knew that we were raiding with, I think we were good, right? Like, it was. It was acceptable. It kept you going, all that stuff. But now, I mean, we're in guilds, we're in FCs that's running stuff, but we don't run with it. Like, that doesn't make me want to go do them, because they're doing them doesn't make me want to go do them, right? And so.
Well, I only ever want to do things once, because I just want to get through the content that I have to get through, dungeons, because I don't care about raiding.
Yeah.
So if I don't care about raiding, what do I need a guild for, really?
Yeah, and I think that's what comes in the casual and hardcore players. I think your casual people, which I have to classify myself as one of those, I'm like a casual player that can play at a really high tier if needed. But my care to do that, the time needed to, I've tried raiding. I went back in there. We were on a boss, and we wiped, and we wiped, and we wiped, and we wiped, and wiped, and trying to be a good sport and all that stuff, but I'm just like, it just reminds me, I don't, this is not enjoyable anymore, like collecting all the things is what I found enjoyable. Like when you and me were going into, what was the Nighthold on Mythic, just you and me going in there was fun. I had more fun with that.
And I got pretty dresses.
Yes, definitely. Like, I feel like things need to.
I think that when you're going in, like in the old way of doing things, if you wanted that sword, you had to do it over and over. You had to work hard for that sword or that staff or that mace or whatever it is. You had to work for it. Now, with an expansion every 3 months, is like, why do I bother working for it? It's going to be outdated in 3 months. What's the point?
Expansion every 3 months. That'd be pretty crazy. You mean a patch?
Yeah, but you have a new. Did I say expansion?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't mean that. I just meant like, well, yeah, next patch, you have a new raid, you have a new dungeon, you have a new something. There's always one thing that's new.
Yeah.
So you have the opening of a new raid, opening of a new dungeon, then you can get a little bit higher piece of gear in that. So every time these patches come out, not expansions, my bad. Every time these patches come out and you have a new dungeon, we're releasing this dungeon, this raid, then the piece you worked so hard for that you only had, maybe by the time you get it, you have it 4 weeks. And then it's outdated when the next patch comes out. So what incentive is there to even do that? Like,
Yeah.
why would you work that hard for, say, 2 to 3 weeks to get this weapon? It's like, yes, you have a 4 weeks, and it's like, it's outdated.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a mindset. I think it's the time mindset, right? When we were a kid, 3 months was like a year to us, right? And now as adults, 3 months is like 3 weeks. Because our time during every day is so short on some of these things. That it just goes by really quickly. Even though now we have a lot of free time with COVID, the year just went poof, which is fine with me. Gets me back home.
It went even faster, and you have the time you had when you were a kid. Yeah. You got that back, and it's still going too fast.
Yeah, and I think like raids. And like I said, like I was gonna say was, I think if we can put the people first, the social first, and the content second, I think the content would flourish more, would mean more. So like in Heretic, for example, on Hyjul, if you're Horde, go join it. Sinister's running it. That'll be where we're going to be playing on Shadowlands, but I do have my Lightbringer people. Endless will be played. He's my main firstborn boy. If the group of people are like, they know each other really well, and they're just having a good time in chat, and then playing the game, it's not like you're doing this and just the people, and I think that's the problem is there's no loyalty, so you're guild hopping. And if you're constantly guild hopping and you're constantly meeting new people and you're never really sowing your oats per se in each guild and building those relationships, because you don't want to get too close with each other, so then you aren't connecting with anybody in this raid group, so then guess what you do? You leave again, next guild. I need a new guild. Same thing. You're social distancing yourselves because you want to be within a guild, but you never want to put in the work to stay in that guild. And I'm guilty of it. I am.
But you know what's funny? It seems like all of us that stayed friends were all leaders in the guild. We were either officers or guild leaders. We had higher position. And it seems like that's kind of where you had to go in order to actually get to know people. Because you're not getting to know the lower players. You're not getting to know the regular players who aren't a part of that smaller circle.
Yeah. No.
So it seems like, those are the people that we kind of stuck together through all of this.
Well, that
was have become friends.
Well, that was the thing, right? Is I saw the really good people, the people that were actually putting in the effort. My motto is you put into the guild what you want out of the guild. And a lot of people just didn't get that, right? You get the constant, like, this guild is dead. It's like, no, it's far from dead. You're just not doing anything with us.
You're not doing it right.
You're not doing it right. But, like, you and, like, even the other people that still ditched us at the end, like, they were active and being involved, and then they just, like, left. Like, they got too close, and then they got uncomfortable and said, peace, and they were gone.
Yeah, which I don't get that.
So, like, last couple of points that I had on my little board here is, Is there a time limit to guild culture? You know, like right now, we've restarted Heretic on Hyjal, and or and we're putting the team together. We're trying to see if these puzzles fit together. A lot of them are friends and all that stuff, so I think it'll do really well. But then it's gonna come. It's like, and we've seen this multiple times, is we new expansion. Everyone's hyped. Everyone's ready to go. New expansion hits, and then everyone gets to max level. Good times, and then we hit that gear grind, and then you hit the raid, and then it comes to that raid. That raid is your test on how good of a team you are, and not in skill, but also, not only in skill, but also how close you are, how comfortable you are with each other, right? Because if that one of those people are new and they get called out, not being mean, they're just like, hey, try working on this, then they get butthurt and they leave. And then you have to get another person, and then the three people that are doing really well.
Like that other, and that the three people that like that other person are going to go, well, that sucked. Well, now they can't raid too. Well, then I'm out of here, because we saw that quite a bit too. It's like, oh well.
Well, it was the aspect of
you're being mean.
Yeah, well, it was the aspect of like your top players. Sometimes, like, and I'm guilty of it too, and it's the fact of, if you're constantly having to recycle people, like if you're a group, if you have somebody that's like, oh, I didn't want to bring this other alt in because my other class is crap, then it's like, okay, now we have to restart over. I remember Eric having like constantly, like, he was just like, F this, like at a certain point, it was just like you had to keep on restarting it. You're like, we're going to we down boss 1, boss 2, boss 3, boss 4. Oh, some people want to change their alt. Okay, now we're doing boss 1, boss 2.
Okay, well, to be fair, they did nerf a lot of the classes during that.
Yeah,
and people are like, I've lost my skills. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm starting a new character. It's like, what? We're in a static raid here.
Yeah.
Like, what? You can't. Yeah. You're our healer. You are our best healer. You're our healer. Well, what? Now you're going to go DPS? Screw the healer? Hey, I lost 3 spells. I'm not healing anymore. So then your whole team implodes,
Or imagine your tanks. If you have a tank that's like, I want to go DPS, I don't want a tank anymore. It's like
you're our tank.
That's huge. It's huge to lose a tank. Like a healer, you could find more healers, but tanks, you need a special type of person for that.
But you also need healers too, and healers, they're getting harder and harder to come by. Look at Final Fantasy. You can get a whole bunch of tanks. It's the healers you're waiting on now.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's both of those things. Like, DPS is a DPS, right? I want to go from one DPS spec to another DPS spec. I was like, whatever. But even so, even doing that, when you have a static, that character that you have, say it's in WoW, you'd have to start a whole new character, or even boost it. You've got to get that character's eye level back up to where it's competitive. So that person's pretty much gone from your raid, because they can't raid at that level till they get that other character built back up again and familiar and comfortable with it.
Well, I think in that sense, you have to treat them like adults, even if they're 18 years old, and be like, no, you're not switching. Like one swap, right? Like, but that other character, like, you have to raid. It's almost set in that rule, right? You have to raid on this healer until your DPS is ready. And
that worked out so well, didn't it? Boom! It imploded.
Well, it's one of those things where it's either you're kind of really strict with it, or you're casual about it, And we were trying to do we had 2 teams, right?
It's a no-win.
Yeah.
Well, basically, it's a.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like I said, I think you could get past all that stuff if you actually had a guild culture. if you actually had people that knew each other, that actually took the time to get to know each other, that everyone knew, a decent amount. And I think, maybe the remedy to that type of stuff, Eric, if you're listening, is maybe start getting actual like groups and all that stuff together beforehand, getting people talking with each other, and kind of, even though we did have that in Storm Seekers, we actually did have groups, but BFA was just terrible in the beginning, right? And so that just didn't help. So I think Shadowlands will definitely be a good expansion to get back into things. And this,
Well, I'm looking forward to it.
yeah,
Immensely.
and this leaves my last topic: is it the game or is it the players? Are we our own worst enemy? To be honest, I think it's the game is only reacting to what the players are wanting and doing, right? If
Do you think that's entirely true, though?
So, according to the Vanilla WoW developer, is they hear what the players are saying, right, from multiple avenues, especially today. I mean, just there's so much social media access to developers that, and the thing is, the developers themselves, they aren't robots; they're humans too, right? So, if I were to go to you, Missy, and be like, Missy, the game you just made fucking sucks. Like, you need to fix this stuff. Like, like, I don't see where you're, like, I mean, I'm coming at you all this stuff like that, like, you're still a human, right? And that's what he was, and that's what he's talking about, is like, you get that feedback, and when you have constant people saying that your ideas are trash, and like, you need to just restart this whole thing over, you bear and grin it, and you go like, okay, let's try to find a happy medium. And we've talked about this before, is when you try to please everyone, you please no one. And I think with the game,
everything boils down to money, and I think they did see a lot of their subbing go bye.
Yeah.
So I think that's what hurts the most, is when people bitch all the time, but they don't leave a game. But when they start actually leaving that game, and the developers start losing revenue, and whenever it hits anybody in the pocketbook, then they're prodded to change.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, there's definitely multiple aspects to a game, especially the size of World of Warcraft. I mean, and that was one other thing we were talking about, is you have these systems being built in the games that aren't player progression specific; they're just progression. Meaning, like, this system can continue from this to that to this to that to this to that, but there's no real actual player progression. They don't feel any worth in it. Like your necklace, to be honest, your Azra necklace mine's like level 80 or 90, and I'm like, okay, it popped again, cool. Like, it's a system that doesn't mean jack shit anymore, right? So it's like, I just do it to do it. There's nothing really there for me to do. And I think, so, they have systems in the game that definitely prolong and gate you and make you, keep chasing the carrot. And I think, so you have that aspect of it too, because they're worrying about their jobs too, right? The game doesn't do well, equals, while not doing well means people aren't playing the game like for long periods of time, because that's how they judge it now. They don't do it by sub count, they do it by time played. So they have systems in there. Yeah. So,
24 hours and we're done with that expansion or that patch or whatever. Like that expansion, what, BFA? How long did that take us? How many days? And we were like done.
Oh yeah, no, we consume, like, that's the thing, right? Is I think we've been doing this for so long. I mean, like, this would have been an Eric question if he was here. Was, playing this game for so long, and I already kind of know his answer, because he's when there's something new and fresh and WoW going on, he comes back, he plays it. I'm the same way, right? We're all excited for it, but in the end, it's still World of Warcraft. it's still that game that we've played for almost 2 decades. I think the answer is, and this is, and I think it'll take the right game, but and the right people playing that game, the right mindset. It's almost like we need to press the reset button with a brand new MMO.
Or like MMOs should have a finite time limit.
Yeah, like I think Final Fantasy. I know that there's another expansion. I guess I could see 2, but that second one is so iffy. I'm just like, like.
And will it even be an expansion? Maybe you'll just have something that comes out that's just an ending.
Yeah.
Not even like that's what I would see would be, it would come out with something. It would be like maybe the end patch. It wouldn't even be an expansion. It'd be an end patch that's just going to complete everything and call it a day.
Yeah. And I think,
because graphics and everything do need to be updated in games as well. And when they keep going on and on and on and on, they really can't make any, up-to-date changes with games very well.
No, I think that's what World of Warcraft. How old this game is. They are updating it, right? There's been texture updates. It's been all these other things. Like I said, I think Shadowlands is the closest we're ever going to get to 2.0, right?
Yeah.
But as much as I'll be honest. As much as I don't want to see WoW go away, and I don't think it should. I think they should just keep it as a,
There'll always be new players.
But we need new MMOs, right? And this is why a lot of gamers' hopes are with Ashes of Creation. New World was there, and I still hope and pray for them to pull it around, to turn it around. But that's what that vanilla developer said about New World is he doesn't think it's going to actually succeed. Because the fact that it started off as a survival PvP game, and the developer that was on New World that actually spearheaded that PvP survival aspect of it left the company. He's no longer there. And because they started hearing from people, we want PvE, we want PvE, we want PvE, and so they're like, well, let's get them PvE, but and the developer said, when you have a philosophy for a game and it was designed to be a survival PvP game, and then you go like, okay, now we're going to turn it into a PvE game,
Yeah.
It's really hard. He said, and this is actually one thing, he said that's nearly impossible unless you have extremely strong leadership of the company, like Yoshi P, for example, and he brought him up. Because this guy actually now plays Final Fantasy 14, and he says that Yoshi P has the biggest cojones leadership-wise because he was able to take a failed MMO 1.0, tie it up in a pretty little bow of Bahamut destroying everything, and giving you a brand new 2.0 game of Realm Reborn, and then continuing to make this be, some people don't want to say it's not the WoW killer. It'll never be a WoW killer until WoW dies, right? But Final Fantasy and WoW literally are on the same pedestal. It's like an either or game right now, right? But what's nice is their cycles are they're different than each other. So when one has no content, the other one will have content. So it all works out for people who play both. But I think. So New World, we're hoping and praying to see what's going on with that.
But it flip-flopped from, like the Final Fantasy they had before. It's PvE fantasy and PvE fantasy. But to take it from a PvP survival game, that's a game that I'll tell you right now, I would never look at. PvP survival. Nope. Hard pass. but then the whole PvE, because that's all I want to do is play a PvE style game. I don't, you know me, I hate PvP.
Yeah.
So you took a whole bunch of people that were totally geared up for a survival PvP, and you basically just let them all down.
Yeah,
By going, okay, now we're going to try and go PvE.
yeah.
What? Because people are going PvE, but not PvP. People are going like, what about us? This game was supposed to be for us. Now what the hell?
Yeah.
Right?
And I think that aspect of it is, is why, I mean, like, we've now seen the game. A lot of people have seen the game now, and there are some amazing aspects to it. The graphics, the sound effects, all that stuff's really, really good. The gameplay itself, I thought they would have changed it, but the staffs, like when you're walking with the staff, you literally are like, you're like moving around like the sticks up your butt, like when you're using a staff. And I was just like, okay. And like by the time you got one cast, like you casted one time, and then you cast another time. By that time, they were up in your face, right? So it's almost like you needed to play. I think Eric actually said the hatchet was overpowered. And I've seen even like Asmund did hatchet, bow and arrow, and then sword and shield. So, they have, it almost feels like if they're going to do PvE, they need to just completely just, I mean, they've delayed it for another year, right? So we'll see what happens at the end. But the thing is, like that, the WoW developer was, or the vanilla developer was just saying, going from that to that, from PvP survival to with PvE because people wanted it, and he said that when you're trying to develop a game based upon people's feedback, like the development by I think it's like democratic development does not work. You make the game you want to make, and then you could slightly adjust it to make it better for people, but to completely change your mindset about the game, it's just not going to work. And this, for me to probably wrap it up, like I said, we're over an hour already. Is
I was going to try and do 30 minutes.
I know. I was looking at the clock. I was like, man, we just started, and it's like 15 minutes in already.
It's like, what? How we get there so fast?
So, like, is Ashes of Creation. And I think, for me personally, if Ashes can pull everything off, everyone is, like, literally holding their breath for this game, and everyone's going to die before it finally comes out. But, like I said, I think I am going to do at least the 250.
Yeah, don't do the 250.
But the 375 one, it depends on what the theming that you want. And this one's actually like fire and stuff, so it looks pretty cool. But what's cool is, yeah, you're like, wow, it's a lot of money to spend on a game that's not even out yet. And it's like, well, technically, that's 9 months. I think the 375 was 9 months of subscription time, so almost a year built in that you're paying ahead. I think $125 of their actual store credit, and then the rest of it was just cosmetics, unique cosmetic stuff. So I don't know, we'll have to see. Like I said,
it depends on how pretty my dress is.
Yeah, it just depends. Like I said, they're still coming out too, right? This is like this game, if they can get all the systems in there, and I think the way that Steven is his name, the main developer guy, who's put 30 million of his own money into this damn thing, and he's put his soul into this thing too. Like when you see the passion that this guy has, and that you can literally
through right?
Yeah.
So he knows what MMOs are missing. He knows what everybody wants to see. So I have high expectations from him.
Well, the way that he said it is MMO gamers are like beaten dogs. That when a new company comes out with an MMO, here's a treat, and then they give you the treat and then slap you across the face, because they've screwed you over with this MMO. And he's like, we don't want to, we're definitely not wanting to do that. And the thing is like, they're such a brand new company that it's almost like old time original Blizzard, right? Out of the garage Apple computers, like, and I think that's like what's going to really drive this is they have, I mean, they have definitely something to lose, right? But they have so much to gain. And if they can pull this off, even like 75%, or even if they could pull off half of the stuff that they're talking about, and the other half is like just coming in patches, because an MMO is never done, right? But if they can do the foundation of what they're talking about, is then we're gonna see a game, for me, depending on how it feels and moves and plays and the storyline, I could see myself, saying that this will be the new main MMO for me. Right now Final Fantasy is above WoW, but I mean, crap, I've been playing Final Fantasy since 2013. August 2013 is when it came out. Like,
I've been playing, what,
18.
almost 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. This Christmas it'll be like 2 years.
Yeah. So I mean, it's, and there's even things that's showing the systems of Final Fantasy themselves are kind of eating themselves away, right? We were just talking about this, is how quickly you level up. I'm almost level 40, not even to Ifrit, which is normally a level 20 primal. And I've literally, yes, I have the new join this server buff, but if that's for a new person coming to the game, they're gonna be level 40 and go why am I like? It's like the stories like up here, and then your experience, then you'll be level 80, you'll hit it here, but you have story all the way up here, right?
Well, that's another discussion for another time, though.
No, yeah. I'm just saying, it's just,
we gotta wrap it up.
Yeah.
Because we could, me and you could go 8 hours on this podcast.
Oh yeah, definitely. But well, I guess in closing on the guild culture, I think, is it dead? Yes, right now I think it is. Is it revivable? Yes.
If that's what the people want, and people are going to have to want it to bring it back.
I think, in the majority of gamers, I don't think it'll ever return to where it was back in the day. The technology is different, the world is different, the people aren't that different, but it's just
they're not being forced to require a guild anymore. They were forced to require the guilds for certain things.
Yeah.
And now that that's gone by the wayside and you can do things by yourself now, people are like, okay, great.
Well, like I said,
you would have to games would have to put it back, I think, to where you had to have a guild to get things accomplished. Then I think that's the only way you're going to draw people back in. Now that you've given them freedom, now that you opened the floodgates, I think it's done.
But do you know what game is going to be doing that? Exactly what you just said.
Ashes of Creation.
It is. That game's going to be hard and tough, and if you want to do things, you need to be part of a guild. And that guild actually needs to be active to actually be beneficial of owning nodes and all this other stuff. That's why we joined that Envious, because they're going to be huge on it, and we're going to be in that. And yeah, so, but yeah, I think, and in closing, I think right now what you would need to do is you need to take the social aspect of the guild, make that number one, and the content second. I think if you can do that, if you can revert that in your own personal guilds, I think your guild will last longer, drama will be down, and when you finally do go into that raid, everyone's gonna be like, oh man, this boss sucks, and no one's gonna be mad, no one's gonna be anything. because you're friends outside of the game, and when you go into battle, everyone is for everybody and not themselves.
And I don't disagree with that. However, I don't see that happening for the older MMOs now that they have given people so much individual freedom to raid when they want, with whoever they want. I think that has died, and I don't think that's something that you could, reel back in at this point. It's unfortunate, but I think for those games in which it's happened, like even with Final Fantasy and the trust system, you're not going to have that anymore. So I think AOC probably has the greatest chance of making that successful, because they're going to start out that way with you being required to be part of a guild, that it's going to be necessary.
Oh, yeah,
so I think that they'll be a lot more successful with it. As far as older MMOs now, I don't think they're going to get back to where they were anymore.
No, we need a new MMO, a new mean MMO that if you see a big bear, it's gonna take two of you to kill it, and not just, like it's just, or a big dragon. Like you're gonna have to get a party together to go take it on. But
you want the big dragon,
right? All right, guys. Well, for Cool Catz Chats, this was our episode 1. And this will be every Friday night, and then we'll have it uploaded on Saturday for you guys if you've missed it. So please make sure to watch it. Like I said, we'll definitely be having some guests. Hopefully we'll get Swaith and Sinister in here, and some other streamers to talk about things like this, game-related stuff. Like I said, we have Shadow.
We want Brad to get his camera.
Yes. Well, technically, it's on its way, so it's crossing the ocean now, probably, most likely. So, but like I said, I have my old school 90 Logitech camera, and yeah. But
you look eternally youthful with it.
Right. So yeah. So like I said, please give us a follow. Subscribe to our YouTube. We got some new videos up there. I have the Shadowlands beta into the Shadowlands series going on right now. I got Bastion up there. I just did Exiles Reach Today Alliance. I won't be doing Horde because it really is the same thing. So Swaith will be putting those up for you. We'll get him this show and get it up for you tomorrow as well. Like I said, this will be every Friday night. Friday night for America. For me, it's 2 a.m. Yeah, so I think that'll do it for us tonight. Like I said,
thanks everybody for watching us.
Yep, definitely. I said the biggest thing you could do for us is press the little follow button. We are, I think, halfway now to affiliated. We're hitting all the other marks minus the followers now. So, yeah.
Just need a little push.
Also, thanks to Sinister, our website is finally done for the most part, minus getting YouTube videos up there. So we are going to be opening up the theme park gates for the Crucible team member program. And we'll probably do a little video on describing what this is, but it's literally we're starting with 5 streamers. We're going to look at your content. You apply to us. We'll talk with you, interview, see if we a good fit with each other. And then we're just going to be feeding off each other. Everyone follows everybody. Everyone helps each other. And once we feel comfortable with those 5, then we'll do another 5 and 5 and 5. So in the end, if there's 50 streamers in this, that means 49 streamers and a person joins. That's 50 new follows for you, 50 new subscribers for you, 50 new likes. So they're manufactured follows, as I call them. So definitely, that's all to come, and should be
Thanks
good to go.
everybody for watching.
All right, well, you guys take it easy. Peace, guys.
See you soon.